Another month, another set of PlayStation Plus announcements. Now taking a look for February 2022. These games will launch next week here in North America. We got 3 games this month. Interesting selection. Let's talk about them. UFC 4, Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep, and Planet Coaster's Console Edition. If you're unfamiliar with what goes on my channel, we go ahead and look at the Metacritic scores to see how these games stack up and if I have any insight. I can tell you up front, I did play Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep and I did enjoy it. Have no idea what to say about Planet Coaster, and as much as a fan I am of UFC, I was not a fan of this game. Clearly, you can see here quite a radical shift between the Metacritic score for UFC 4 and for the user score. A lot of this had to do with the reviewers, as reviewers tend to do, rushing out the review before people got a chance to actually put this game through its proper paces. This happens far too often in the video game industry, and right before I get off my soapbox, I want to say that this is very common. What happened is the review code that the reviewers played, where it was in a much more protective environment, I'll say, is not the experience most fans got to see. And that's why you're seeing such a low score. Lots of disconnects and lots of EA Sports bugs definitely have riddled this game. And this isn't just exclusive to this experience. A lot of EA games have suffered from this, namely Madden, where you have a lot of reused assets and you have a lot of reused can animations. It didn't feel fun or fresh. This game unfortunately fell into the same trap. And it's unfortunate because fighting should be of kind of relative. You think about like Street Fighter, fighting games aren't that hard to put together. You can actually do some really good fighting games, obviously. There's a whole branch of gaming dedicated to that. You think it would be a home run with UFC talent, getting to play as your favorite UFC fighters, but unfortunately this game just missed the mark. And I don't know. I think the 78 Metacritic score is very, very high for this game, and I don't think it's one that I personally would recommend. Moving on to Planet Coaster. This is the console edition, which has been kind of reworked for PS5. I don't know if they have anything in here on the blog specifically talking about how great or upgraded this game is, but typically when you have a game that was on a PlayStation 4 that moves up to PS5 or Xbox, I mean, clearly we're talking PS Plus today, a lot of times you'll get some sort of resolution upgrades or whatever, and I assume that's the case here. You probably can expect slightly faster loading times and that sort of thing. But Planet Coaster, for those unaware, is a game where you basically go around and build different types of roller coasters. In this case, you're putting together this virtual theme park and assembling things. I've never personally been a big fan of these kind of experiences. I know a lot of people like this. You have like zoo simulators that really fall into the same category. Jurassic Park has had some relative success lately with building your own dino park. And this one obviously is, clearly themed about roller coasters, but there's other elements to it as well. And you're just trying to build this beautiful virtual theme park. Never been my cup of tea personally, but I understand there is an audience for this. And it sits at a respectable 81 on Metacritic. Basically where you're playing the simulation as you build this empire, building up, all these assets to really customize and create a park and to make it your own. Moving on to Tiny Tina, Assault on Dragon Keep. I really enjoyed this game. I have been a huge fan of Borderlands for a very long time. And Borderlands 2 had some great DLC. This was, I believe, the 4th and final DLC. Yep, for Borderlands 2. I remember playing this at the very tail end of the PS3 life cycle. But if you're not familiar with Borderlands, it's nonsensical, crazy. Tiny Tina, definitely one of the crazier characters. I know that this is probably in anticipation of the new Borderlands experience, which we should be getting soon. Tiny Tina plays a large role in that. But if you're not familiar with Borderlands at all, I'm sorry, you should be. But this is a great contained DLC to kind of give you an idea of just how nonsensical the universe and the world is. It sits at a very high 87 Metacritic score. And more importantly, notice that the user score sits at an 8.5. Which is very telling when you look at a lot of these other games like UFC, clearly was review bombed. You look at Planet Coaster, it's relatively close. And you look at this and it's almost identical. That indicates to me, and I know this to be a fact because I've played it, that it really was a good experience. The reviewers weren't paid off, so to speak. We got a very true experience and a lot of people genuinely enjoyed what they got to play. So I would say from this particular month, kind of looking at all of these titles, while, you know, they did do a nice spread of PS4 and PS5 titles, something we have seen in the past, ultimately, I think it's kind of a weak month. But it's nice that Tiny Tina's was included. For those of you who have not yet had a chance to experience it, I would recommend jumping on that one. Planet Coaster, for me personally, take it or leave it. It's not my cup of tea, but understand that some do enjoy the simulation space. But I think universally that we can all agree UFC 4 definitely, even without Asanya there, it's not worth playing. Don't waste your time on that one. That wraps it up for this month of February games. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Take care of yourselves, and until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.